Continue to pound Iran. In fact, US-Israeli airstrikes have targeted Mehrabad airport in Tehran. Iranian media is saying that there is a passenger plane which was attacked following the US-Israeli attack on Bushehr airport. There's no information whether the plane had any passenger at the time of this incident. So now, as we have been fearing, the cost of the war is only expanding, and it seems it is including all those. In fact, the civilians are now becoming a part and exactly becoming the casualty in this war, which is now expanding in the entire Middle East and parts of West Asia. Iranian media is saying that a passenger plane has now been targeted following the US-Israeli attack on Bushehr airport. There is no information at the moment whether the plane had any occupant at the time of this incident, whether there was any passenger when this incident actually took place. So the situation certainly is grim, and as we have been saying, that the cost of this war is increasing and it's moving beyond the region as well, and the civilians are now becoming a casualty in this war. Mehrabad airport in Tehran has been struck by Israel. There are reports and the visuals coming in. You can see a totally damaged airplane which was there at the Bushehr airport, and there's no information at the moment whether the plane had any passenger. Missiles in the sky, diplomacy on the line, and as Iran faces a US-Israel joint offensive, two countries that have openly now come out in support of Iran are China and Russia, with China saying that it respects the sovereignty of Iran and also this, that Iran has the right to self-defense. And as the new vector emerges in this war, are the countries now being forced to pick a side? Mahashweta has this report.
Will Iran survive this war? Well, only time will tell. As Iran fights for its survival and puts tactical pressure on its neighbors, hoping that they will in turn pressure the United States and Israel to slow down, an old ally has stood in support of it, not militarily, but verbally. Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi dialed his Iranian counterpart Abbas Araghchi. After Araghchi briefed Wang Yi about the latest development in the US-Israel coalition-led war against Iran, the Chinese foreign minister said Beijing supports Iran in safeguarding its sovereignty, security, territorial integrity and national dignity, and in upholding its legitimate and lawful rights and interests. China and Iran signed a strategic partnership agreement in 2021. But the question remains, how Beijing will extend its support to a strategic ally when they are constantly under attack. Iran and China have been connected by rail for over a decade. The first direct freight train from China arrived in Iran in February 2016, after the Kazakhstan-Turkmenistan-Iran rail link opened in December 2014. That link created a continuous overland corridor from China through Central Asia into Iran. China again called out to the US and Israel to immediately cease military actions to avoid further escalation of tensions and prevent the conflict from expanding and spreading to the entire Middle East region. After the fall of Venezuela and the capture of Nicolas Maduro, Beijing had followed the old playbook of offering diplomatic backing instead of engaging in direct military support. Washington's attack on Iran is also seen to cripple the energy sector of Beijing. This is a second attack aimed to affect the Chinese energy sector after Venezuela by the US.
China firmly opposes the use of force to violate the sovereignty and security of other countries in international relations. Energy security attaches great importance to the world economy, and all parties should ensure stable and smooth energy supply. China will take necessary measures to safeguard its own energy security.
Another old ally, Russia, has assured of acting as a dialogue channel between Iran and the neighboring Arab countries.
Putin is certainly making every effort and will do so to help bring at least a small reduction in tension. In that context, he discussed with almost all his interlocutors yesterday that he would convey to our colleagues in Iran the deep concern over the strikes on infrastructure using the dialogue channels we maintain with the Iranian leadership.
As of now, Iran is alone to fend for itself. But kind words from friends at a critical juncture will probably boost the morale of the already unsettled Iranian leadership. Mahashweta Lala, Bureau Report, India Today.
And even as we look at this new vector, one thing is becoming clear, that Donald Trump perhaps may have got his calculation very, very wrong. Geeta is joining us on this broadcast as well. Donald Trump, remember, has now said that he's ready to support armed Iranian groups to overthrow the regime. And to discuss this, we have someone who's in fact backing the Crown Prince in exile, Raza Pahlavi, Iranian actress. Mandana Karimi is joining us live from Mumbai. Mandana, it certainly appears that on the streets of Iran as well, there is now support for the current regime. It's largely the Iranians outside Iran who may be backing Raza Pahlavi.
Yes. And I just want to correct you on a statement that you just made. This support hasn't been today or just because of the Khamenei's death. It's been there since January 8th and 9th. And the gathering that we had in Munich, specifically in Munich, of millions of Iranians that came on the streets in United States and Europe and a lot of other places, it was the call of Reza Shah Pahlavi. And I want to be very specific with that because I feel like a lot of media, a lot of people, a lot of West and East and the lefties, they're making this to be some sort of a other conversation that, oh, what's going to happen now that the Khamenei is dead? And what's going to happen while Israel and America, they have hit Iran, right? So I just want to say it very clearly. Reza Shah Pahlavi's name has been chanted by Iranian people from Iran and the people outside of Iran, the diaspora of Iranians, for past 2 months. But unfortunately, the media, specifically Indian media, have been seeing this or hearing it just because Khamenei is dead. And the war has happened. So.
Okay, Geeta?
Well, Mandana, I was in Tehran and I know that there is a lot of disillusionment against the regime, but certainly not as much popularity for Pahlavi as you're suggesting. There might be some sort of a faction that really would want Pahlavi, but many others do not. Maybe they'll be looking for a democratically elected government.
I'm so sorry. I don't want to be disrespectful. I don't want to cut you out. A lot of Indian channels, and I have been specifically spoken about it, by knowing my life would be in danger by living in India and having this opinion is the fact.
No, absolutely not. Mandana, no. Your life is not going to be in danger. No, I'm sorry. You're in India, you're on Indian soil. You can say what you want to. We are actually a democratic setup. Your life is not going to be in danger.
Let me clear something to you. Because it seems like you don't know where I come from and what I've been doing in India for so many years. So let me give you a back forward of what I've done in India. in 2010, I came to India. I'm not a political person. I'm not part of any parties. I'm not part of any organization. Okay. 2010, I came to India as a simple, basic model. And if you know a backstage of any modeling shows that it happens, a reporter asks a question of the models: where you from? How do you feel about the show? Whatsoever. And 2010, I just said, I just said, I am from Iran. And the next day, there was an article saying there is a new model in town in Delhi whose name is Mandana Karimi, la la la. And in matter of like 48 hours, I was called to the embassy and I questioned. And I've been questioned for so many years in India. And that's not the point of this interview or a conversation. But to answer to your question, the reason I'm so disheartened by the Indian media is the fact that a lot of people, and so as your platform, has given a platform to the regime that has been murdered thousands of its own citizens for years and years and years. And
But
suddenly,
Vandana, the fact is
just
that regime
because,
also had
just
support
because,
and continues
just
to have support on the streets of Tehran. Geeta has reported from that. So let me ask you another question, Mandana.
I'm
Given
sorry to
how
say
this
that.
war...
I'm sorry to cut you again. I'm sorry to cut you again. I posted I post actually on my social media about your platform of sending so-called and a reporter to Iran and talking about, oh, Iran, it looked like another city or a country in Europe. While I am from Iran. The reason I left Iran, because at the age of 18 years old, I was watched my own friends to be lashed 75 lashes in front of my own eyes. Okay? Because of the morality of the police, because of the basic human rights as a woman to be accepted, to have a boyfriend, to be in a public places. And I watched my friend to get lashes, and that's why I left Iran. So, an Indian reporter who goes to
But
Iran
Mandana,
and
that
is
so-called reporter was me. I was there in Iran. I had gone to interview Arakchi. And I'm telling you very clearly that what we saw is what we were reporting, that not everybody, which means the protests after Mahsa Amini actually shook the regime. That they had relaxed moral policing is what we were reporting about. And I am also the person who actually cut my hair on live television protesting the regime and supporting Mahsa Amini. So I'm sorry, I don't think you know my work well enough to say that I just went there to do that.
My dear, I've been watching
Mandana,
your news.
I very clearly went there. No, you have to give
reporting.
us an opportunity too. I went there to interview Arakchi because he was going into talks with America. Just ahead of the talks in Geneva, I cover foreign policy. It is my job to interview foreign ministers who are going for important assignments. When we went there, we were talking about how the moral policing in Tehran has come down after the protests. And it is true. I did not wear a headscarf anywhere in Tehran except for when I was doing the interview because it was the official building.
My dear, I respect you, woman to woman. Forget the politics. Forget the fact that you're a reporter and this is a news channel or whatsoever. I respect you as a woman. I respect you, the fact that you put your life in your hand and you went to Iran. I kudos you for that. I bloody respect you for that because I know as a woman going to Iran as a reporter, right? If you're gonna say something that is not as per as what the government wants, what your life is gonna be. I kudos you for that. I do not doubt that. And I respect you. I salute you that.
All right. There seems to be some problem with that line of Mandana.
There are reporters that they go to Iran and they see what you see and what the government wants you to see. What I'm saying, please have an empathy with the Iranian woman who I have lost my childhood. I have lost my teenager time to the
Mandana,
government.
we absolutely do. There is no question about that.
I
Of
do.
not standing
I know
with
you do.
There is no
Iranian
question
women.
about that.
Let me finish. Let me finish. Please let me finish. I respect you a lot, but the fact that you give a platform to murderous regime who has killed my own friends. I'm not talking to you as an organization. I'm not talking to you as a political party or whatsoever. I'm talking to you as an Iranian woman who's been arrested and watched her best friends to get lashes. And I have a mark in my own body from that
Okay,
incident.
I just need to ask you one question then, Mandana. Please allow me the time, Arya.
Sure, please do.
Mandana, I need to ask you this.
Please do.
And we're talking geopolitics here. You're here because
Yes.
there's a war that's on, right?
Yes.
And that war is being waged by Israel and America, not America alone.
Sure.
If Iran loses, Israel wins. A very strong Netanyahu who also has completely taken Gaza by storm, razed it to the ground. You're okay with a stronger Netanyahu in the region?
Can I tell you, can I answer you in this way? Again, 3 months ago, for the first time in my life, I went to Israel. For first time in my life. I've studied in Iran. I went to Islamic Republic private school in Iran. Every day in the morning, they taught us death to Israel, death to America. When I was a kid, I was punished because I asked my teacher, who is Israel and who's America? Why do we hate them? And they didn't have an answer for me. They punished me. At the age of 39 years old, as an adult, I went to Israel 3 months ago, okay? I have Israeli friends, and I went to the border of Gaza, and I saw it with my own eyes. And the reason I was able to do that, because I don't have Iranian passport anymore. I have different passport now. It's not Indian, but I have a different passport now. I went to Israel and I saw it. The bullshit that Iranian regime, the school that I have studied, they teach us to hate Israel for no reason. It absolutely doesn't exist. And I'm sorry to say that if my country has been oppressed for 48 years and I have lost my school friends,
All right,
I've lost
Mandana,
my friends.
we certainly understand your sentiments, so thank you so much.
I have to
Thank you so much for joining us. In fact, there's a piece of breaking news which is just coming in that Donald Trump has told US media in an interview that Iran is running out of launchers and that US defense companies are under emergency orders to build weapons. Donald Trump has said 49 were killed. Don't forget, so that goes pretty deep, right? He has also said new ones are emerging. A lot of people want the job. Some of them would be very good. Donald Trump saying they are running out and they are running out of launchers. We have unlimited of the middle and upper middle ammunition and things. We save it and we build it. I mean, it's a soundbite a day, a new strategy being projected by Donald Trump every hour, every time he wakes up in America. You know, Geeta, a few minutes ago, you were discussing that he would be perhaps waking up and then putting out something on Truth Social. So what are we prepared for here when he says that it is Iran which is running out of launchers?
Well, he said that, and then Masoud Pezeshkian, the president of Iran, came out and said that they have enough. They've not emptied out, and they have enough to sustain and for the long haul and for a long war. It's his word against Iran's word. It is about ensuring that there is peace more than the fact that they want to carry out war. But the messaging over here is absolutely clear. America over here digging in its heels, not giving way or moving towards talks at this point in time. There were some indications that they both would come to the talking table after all the bombings of US bases in West Asia. But this message clearly shows that America wants to stay in for a bit longer.
But Geeta, isn't this full of contradictions? On one hand, here is US President Donald Trump saying that there is unlimited, then why do they need rapid production?
Well,
if they have unlimited stock, unlimited weapons, then why are US defense companies also building weapons?
We have been seeing statements that have been contrary in nature, contradictory in nature as well. Yes, production is slow. And he's also mentioned that in the past, Maria, he said that, you know, I've told them they're producing very slowly, they manufacture very slowly, and I've told them that they need to produce fast. So yes, the munition that they have, no matter what he says, is finite. It's not infinite. It will last only, there's a count when it comes to strategically how long can they go on in the Middle East, given that it's not close to America. So it has to be shipped, brought to the aircraft carriers and the ships that are there in the Mediterranean right now, or in the region for that matter. And that's a slow process too. So he might have days. How long? We'll have to wait and see. And how long can Iran sustain is also another very important aspect to this war.
Yes, absolutely. Because
and they had no problems with it. Also hitting only civilian places, hotels and apartment buildings, and we're hitting them where it is much more appropriate. We're hitting them very hard. And the big scale hitting goes now. They no longer have air protection. They no longer have any detection facilities at all left. And so they're gonna be in for a lot of hurt. These are bad people. These are people they killed. I guess it's 35,000. It's coming out 35,000 over the last 3 weeks. Protesters, 35,000 violently killed. So these are bad people. And the leader of the pack is gone. And as you know, 49 people were taken out in the first hit. And I guess there was another hit today on the new leadership. And it looks like that was pretty substantial also. So they're getting hit very hard, and we'll see what happens. A lot of people are coming forward. A lot of the people you would least suspect want to quit. They want to have immunity. They're asking for immunity. And probably at some point they'll be dropping, as you would say, laying down their guns. We'll see what happens. In the meantime, we're just continuing to go forward. Our military is the #1 in the world by far. And we are, everything's big in my book. Venezuela was big, this is big. The original hit, Midnight Hammer, was big. Everything you view is big, but it's not considered very big by some standards, by some of our standards. We have a military like no other military that's ever been built.
Mr. President, what's the worst case scenario that you have planned for in Iran?
Worst case scenario, okay.
multiple statements coming in from Donald Trump. Yesterday, he had said the cost of war is around 3,000 casualties. Now that number seems to have gone up.
Donald Trump said 32,000 and today he's saying 35,000. Iran officially says 3,117.
Okay. Joining us now is Ghazal Sharmad. She is a German-Iranian human rights activist and daughter of Jamshid Sharmad, who was in fact executed by the Iranian government. Before I bring in Ghazal, let's try and understand the choke point that we are looking at, which is now the Hormuz Strait, which is actually choked or blocked. So let's try and look at this map, Geeta. So this is the entire GCC that we are looking at, Geeta. The Strait of Hormuz has now been choked or blocked. So now what happens?
Okay. So this is the entire peninsula, the Arab Peninsula. And why is it important is because the Persian Gulf and Gulf of Oman, this is where the GCC countries, like you said, Maria, are. And all the oil flows from here, through here, and this is where the Strait of Hormuz is. This little sliver that you see of water body is where the ships really come out from.
It's around 30 kilometers.
Iran controls it.
Yes.
So Iran has blocked the Strait of Hormuz. There's no oil coming in from here. The Houthis have threatened the entire Bab el-Mandeb, which is the Red Sea. So the two very important choke points or straits that actually let tankers and ships out to the whole world are choked, blocked, and we could be seeing the ripple effect of that in days to come.
Help us understand, when there was that 12-day war, it did not really spill on to the West Asia. At that time, the movement of the oil ships and all were continuing.
They were, but back then also, the threat was of Strait of Hormuz. And everybody said, if this war continues, Iran will choke Strait of Hormuz. And during the 12-day war, the Houthis did take on the Red Sea and Bab el-Mandab, and there was hardly any ship that had an American flag, Israeli flag, or any company or shipping company that supported Israel or was part of the American economic structure, were not allowed in. And this is where Israel is. This is where Israel is. So for all the transport, for all the shipment that they need after Gaza shuts down, this is where they get all their shipments from. So for this entire region, the Red Sea, the Persian Gulf, Strait of Hormuz, Bab el-Mandab, these are areas that are important. And during the 12-day war, because it was very specific, there were attacks, they were very specific, and they were Israel versus Iran, nothing had spilled over, is the reason why it was contained. And the fear was Iran is going to use the Strait of Hormuz to ensure that there's pressure. And the pressure did come about.
Okay, so that's why the role of Qatar becomes important, because Qatar could be the deal maker or ensuring...
Qatar and Oman.
Qatar and Oman.
So
because
Oman was the mediator.
That's right.
Oman is the only country, if you see, that is outside of this strait. So this is a country that can still do business. You can still do business. But you cannot get your oil all through like this. It's the easier way is always doing, the ships coming through the Persian Gulf. And that's not going to happen. So yeah, it's a huge, huge...
So as we explain this choke point, let me bring in Ghazal again. Ghazal, my question certainly would be to you that we are witnessing an Iranian aggression as well, and they have involved and started targeting ports, other infrastructure, crucial military assets of US in other parts of West Asia. The question is, did the Iranians also get the sentiment that the reaction could be very different from what, the Iranians who are outside Iran have been thinking, that there would be some kind of uprising on the streets and the regime change would be smooth?
First of all, let me correct. When you say Iranians, I think you're talking about the Islamic regime, which is not Iranian. This is an Arab Islamic occupation of the soil of Iran to erase Iranians. So we have to differentiate between the Iranian people who wanted liberation, who are so excited right now that after 47 years of war with this Islamic regime, they finally have allies on their side, military allies that are going against the military of this Islamic regime that has been raping and killing.
In fact, let's look at what US President Donald Trump is saying. I'm cutting across to that.
They have no air force that's been knocked out. They have no air detection that's been knocked out. Their radar has been knocked out. And just about everything's been knocked out. So we'll see how we do, but we're doing very well. We have a great military, extra hours. So we are very surprised. This is not Winston Churchill that we're dealing with.
Mr. President, what's your expectations towards Germany? What can Germany do and what should Germany do to help you in this moment?
Well, I think they're doing it. I mean, they're letting us land in certain areas, and we appreciate it. And they're just making it comfortable. We're not asking them to put boots on the ground or anything. I mean, we're just they're a respected country. I have a very good relationship with the country. We have, in particular, now with this leader, with this new leader. I think he's an excellent leader. I had my differences with Angela. I said, "You're hurting your country with immigration, and you're hurting your country with energy." And we have a man sitting on my right that is, I think, pretty much the opposite of her on energy and the opposite on immigration. And I think he's doing very well.
Mr. President. Commercial air travel right now is severely restricted in the Middle East, and thousands of Americans are stranded. Why wasn't there an evacuation plan, and will you send planes to get people out?
Well, because it happened all very quickly. We thought, and I thought maybe more so than most, I could ask Marco, but I thought we were going to have a situation where we were going to be attacked. They were getting ready to attack Israel. they were getting ready to attack others. You're seeing that right now. And a lot of those missiles that are hitting in, those are stationary. Those were aimed there for a long period of time at these other countries. So I think I was right about that. We attacked first. And if we didn't, it could have been, you know, look, we're really decimating them. They're being decimated. And if we didn't, and by the way, we have massive amounts of ammunition. We have the high end. A lot of it was given away stupidly by Biden, very stupidly, for free. And I'm all for Ukraine, but they gave away a lot. As you know, when I give away ammunition, everybody pays for it. The European Union's paying for it. Then they can do what they want with it, but they are giving it, let's say, to Ukraine, and it's okay. But we gave away a lot of high end, but we have plenty. But we have unlimited middle and upper ammunition, which is really what we're using in this war. And we have really an unlimited supply. We also have a lot of the very high end stored in different countries throughout the world. We're literally storing it there, which is actually something that I insist on first term. I rebuilt the military in my first term. The military is great. Unbelievable amount of ammunition, or munitions, as they say, we've given away to, the Wall Street Journal incorrectly covered the story when they said that it was given away to the Middle East. Not to the Middle East, it was given away to Ukraine. Very little was given to the Middle East. The Middle East would buy a lot, and some of the nations, because they're rich, they have a lot, but it was given away to Ukraine. And it just should have been done. Look, it's a war that should have never happened. If I were president, that war would have never happened. But we have a tremendous amount of munitions, ammunition at the upper level, middle and upper level, all of which is really powerful stuff.
Mr. President,
a question to both of you. How worried are you that the rising prices for gas and oil are damaging the American economy, and also Mr. Chancellor?
Yeah, do you want to go ahead?
Yeah, sure. This is, of course, damaging our economies. This is true for the oil prices, and this is true for the gas prices as well. So that's the reason why we all hope that this war will come to an end as soon as possible. And we are hoping that the Israeli and the American army are doing the right things to bring this to an end and to have really a new government in place who is coming back to peace and freedom.
Yeah. Something had to be done. And it's been 47 years. They've been killing people all over the world for a long time. They were the kings and fathers of the roadside bomb. Soleimani, we killed him last term. If we didn't, I think it might be a different story today. They would have been much stronger and smarter than they are. But they did the roadside bombs. 95% of the people lost their legs, arms, had their face wiped out, just wiped out. I've seen some young people that it's so sad to watch. And that was almost all, 95% comes from Iran and with Soleimani. Soleimani loved it, his favorite weapon. He loved the roadside bomb. And when you see people walking around with no legs and no arms and a face that's been blown to hell, these people, what they have to go and the way they have to live, this is Iran. When you look at the barracks, the famous barracks, when you look at the hostages, when you look at a lot of hostages, when you look at all of the problems, they were really a purveyor of terror all over the world for many, many years. And it's something that had to be done, and I believe that if we didn't, because I see where Congress, if I didn't do this, guys like Schumer, who are losers, the Democrats, they're losers, that's why they're not here. Guys like Schumer would say, well, you should have done this. In other words, if I did it, it's no good. If I didn't do it, they would have said the opposite, that you should have done this. But most people feel, I'll tell you what, I have never had more compliments on something I did. People felt it's something that had to be done. So if we have a little high oil prices for a little while, but as soon as this ends, those prices are going to drop, I believe, lower than even before.
Mr. President, would you clarify on what exactly there is in Iraq?
Go ahead, please.
Mr. President.
Yes.
How do you want to solve the conflict on tariffs between the EU and the US?
Between who?
The conflict on tariffs between the EU and the US. What do you want to solve?
And U.S. and who?
European Union.
Well, we won on tariffs, actually. Somebody said you actually won the case. We won on tariffs. We had a decision that was wrong. It was a very bad decision from certain standpoints. From other standpoints, a very powerful decision because it reaffirmed all the fact that we have all these various forms of tariffs that we felt right, but it totally reaffirmed it. It said you can use all of these tariffs. So we have all these vast menus of tariffs. And tariffs have made our country very rich. We have to charge tariffs to nations who play with their money. You know, they move their money up and down like a yo-yo. We have to take care of nations that have been good to us and fair to us, and we're going to take care of them. Other nations, they haven't, and we haven't let them take advantage of us. But the whole thing with tariffs is we had a decision that, like, as an example, we have a license situation, and the license is something that allows us to immediately stop all business with, nobody even knew we had this power, but we do now because of the decision. We have the right to stop all business having to do with a certain country. If a certain country is not treating us well, the president, without going to Congress, has the right to stop. Sort of interesting. I have the right to stop, but under that one law, I didn't have the right to charge them. So I have the right to license them, but I don't have the right to charge, which is frankly ridiculous. But the right was given to us by the Supreme Court. And we have the right, as an example, we talked about Spain. I could tomorrow stop, or today, even better, stop everything having to do with Spain. All business having to do with Spain. I have the right to stop it. Embargoes, do anything I want with it. And we may do that with Spain. What do you think?
Well, sir, I think we're going to talk about it with you. I know that you have strong power. The Supreme Court clarified. We know you can use it, and if you need to use it to assure national and economic security, we'll do it.
Scott, do you have an opinion?
Sir, I agree. The Supreme Court reaffirmed your ability to implement an embargo, and as we've talked, from your first term, the Section 301s and the 232s have withheld more than 4,000 lawsuits, and USTR and Commerce are going to begin investigations, and we'll move forward with those.
And we've instituted a 15% tariff on everybody, as you know, and just used. I'll tell you, we had a couple of paragraphs written in that opinion that were really incredible. Justice Kavanaugh wrote a fantastic dissent, but in his dissent, he said what we should do, and we knew that too. We just wanted to simplify it, and for some reason, I think, very, very foolishly, the courts decided no, but they said you can do it many other ways, and that's what we're doing. And what we've done is we've gone to a very simple, straight 15% tariff. We've taken in hundreds of billions of dollars in our country because of tariffs. So we've taken in all of this money, hundreds of billions of dollars, and honestly, it's made us very rich as a country. Right? So it's been doing good. When will you have the full plan implemented? We have a 5-month period, up to 5 months, where we can go at 15%. And while we're doing that, as you know, we're doing the...
Just a few minutes ago, you heard perhaps a multiple contradictory statement of Donald Trump. He's the same man who once upon a time promised no new wars, but now faces accusations of pursuing the very regime change policy he criticized. While he says the conflict isn't about toppling Iran's leadership and has claimed it will be short-lived, mixed signals from Washington, D.C. and Israel have raised questions about the war's true objectives, its timeline, and also the end game. We are leaving you with this report. Geeta and I will see you tomorrow.
They said, he will start a war. I'm not going to start a war. I'm going to stop wars.
As a presidential candidate, Donald Trump vowed that he will start no new wars. Now he finds himself pursuing the exact kind of regime change he once criticized.
We must abandon the failed policy of nation building and regime change. When we are finished, take over your government. It will be yours to take. This will be probably your only chance for generations.
While Trump has positioned US's action as a way to relieve Iranians from the regime, his own war secretary says this war is not about a regime change.
This is not a so-called regime change war, but the regime sure did change, and the world is better off for it.
From broken promises to self-contradictions, this conflict has brought to light a chain of misstatements from the United States. Just before launching joint strikes with Israel, Trump had said that he wants to give diplomacy a chance, but he didn't. Trump now says Iran has reached out for talks, but it is too late. Trump and Netanyahu claim that the war will not be an endless one and that they will wrap it up in 4 to 5 weeks.
Right from the beginning, we projected 4 to 5 weeks, but we have capability to go far longer than that. We'll do it. Whatever somebody said today, they said, oh, well, the president wants to do it really quickly. After that, he'll get bored. I don't get bored.
I hear the people are saying, well, you're going to have an endless war here. You're not going to have an endless war. Now, of course, it's up to the people of Iran in the final count to change the government. But we are creating, America and Israel together are creating the conditions for them to do so.
But the Israeli forces have vowed to continue the operation for as long as it takes, something that the US State Secretary has also seconded.
We have objectives. We will do this as long as it takes to achieve those objectives, and we will achieve those objectives.
It's a war that's not just being fought on the ground. It's also being fought through ambiguous messaging. With the war's timeline, nature, objectives, and consequences all on the line. Preksha Jain for India Today.